The first thing I'd say is that looking back, I realize how unbelievably lucky I was. I come from a family that was highly educated. My father was a professor, and my education started at home. My earliest memories are learning to read. It was about, and it was what Alfre said about the expectation was always there at a very, very high level. That I have an older brother, which I think is very relevant actually. He's a year and a half older than me, so he was already, the bar was set, and I had somewhere that I needed to kind of achieve to. Often felt it was too difficult actually, because it felt like I needed to somehow do the same as him, even though he was older, but actually that kind of worked out. It was that challenge was set. So by the time I actually got to public school, which is where I started in first grade, I didn't go to kindergarten, I was, in all honesty, way ahead. I mean, I really was. And there was something about that that was instantly gratifying, which, you know, we'll come back to a little bit later about like what Buck said about the dancing suddenly puts you in a different place where you could engage in different ways. I already felt that in education when I arrived in school. I already could read. I already had read. I already had, you know, done all these other things, even in first grade. And so that became a pattern throughout my childhood education, where it was already being addressed at home to some extent, and that parental involvement and challenge and all that influenced me heavily all the way through. I would say that, you know, the things that worked in that and didn't work were all about the level of availability of the teacher to accept that and use it, or to be narrow. It was like an expansive view or a narrow view, and that certainly started kicking in the more I became involved in as a young dancer. Let's say, you know, the first things that I did as a dancer were I was in the Nutcracker, which is, you know, a month in December in Boston, and I'd be missing some school. And some teachers thought, okay, this makes sense, this is important, he's already fine, it's going to work out. And some people thought, no, it's narrow and it should be this. And I mean, I can tell you, as just to jump ahead, I finished high school very early. I managed to cram credits and do stuff because I was becoming a professional dancer at that point already. And my only grade in my entire school career was in my final year. I got a D. My only grade below an A or a B was a D in theater. And it literally was because that teacher was so narrow that he could not appreciate the fact that I was performing at the Music Center in LA, and therefore I couldn't also do 3 plays. I could only do 2 or something. And it just didn't translate somehow that. So it became about that expansive vision, which I think the final thing I'll say about it is that the choices were what mattered. It wasn't that it was going to be, you're going to do this, that bar is there and you're going to do that. It was that you've got this, 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 and this, and you're going to try everything, and you're going to try and do everything on a high level. And the expectation was that it would sort itself out. I think that was what it was. And I think that's sort of the ideal of a classical education a little bit, that you have a well-rounded education that equips you. And the things that sorted themselves out, I always say, is that I was good at dancing and not so good at the flute. So I danced, but I played the flute for a while.